This year, not only did I find my favorite book of the year near the beginning of the year, but I also found one of my favorite books of all time at the beginning of the year, and that's The Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and the Secret of the Grand Chateau. This is a book that was scientifically crafted to be a book that I would find my favorite book. Find to be my favorite book. It is a comedy. It has a narrator character who is the fake author of the book, which is like my favorite thing. It's a mystery. It's a mystery that's basically spoofing Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew. And it's a mystery where the characters actually have character arcs, which is something mystery stories never have, at least like teen detective mystery stories, because they're normally told where you have to have a series, so you basically have to restart the world, so why have character development if you're gonna have to read the whole series in order? I need more books from this series with this detective trio. I need more of these stupid detectives, because that is what this book is. Stupid detectives who are teens who solve a mystery in a chateau in the cold and are basically spoofing Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. And that's all I've ever wanted in my entire life. This book is perfect. It's basically the Secret series by Pseudonymous Bosch, but stupid teen detectives. And no weird magic stuff. But it's perfect, and I love it. And I need more, and I will cry if there's never any more, because I finally have a book that exists that I can say, what are my tastes in books, and what do I think is a perfect book? This book. This is one of my high-key tastes in books. Ghost Hunters Adventure Club and the Secret of the Grand Chateau. The biggest reason I need more books out of this book world is because I have questions. Because there are things that are not answered in this book that have to do with the characters, like JJ and Valentine, and about the fake author, about Dr. Cecil H.H. Mills. I have questions that aren't answered, and if I never get them answered, I'm going to go insane. So, get on it. Write another book, please. Because I'm not going to be able to find anybody else to even theorize about the questions I have, because no one's read this book, apparently. Which upsets me, because it is a very good book. It even has, like, the yellow spine hardcover, but without, like, a dust jacket thing that reminds me of the Nancy Drew books. And, like, there's just so many things about this where I'm like, yes, I'm a fan of teen detective novels, and therefore I will like this. I'm also a fan of comedy, and this book is hilarious. So, if you're looking for a funny teen detective novel, this would be my recommendation. Because it's basically, it's also not middle grade, which is very helpful. Because I feel like a lot of books that would exist that would feel like it goes under this category would be middle grade. But this is YA. So, read this book. Because it's now my absolute favorite book of all time. So, it has my 5-star, 6-star out of 5 recommendation, 100-star out of 5-star recommendation. You should read this book. Unless, of course, you hate comedy and you hate teen detective novels. In which case, don't read this book, because it's not your thing. But I love this book, and I will recommend it to people who I think will like this book, too. I picked this book up basically only because it had to do with Benedict Arnold. And, like, I've known about this book for a while and tried to, like, read it a bunch of times. Like, I think I've gotten it out of the library before, but just never actually opened it up and read it. But I listened to the audiobook this year, and I'm really glad I did. Because if it didn't have to do with Benedict Arnold, I never would have read it. Because it's like a political conspiracy thriller book. Which is not something I would ever read unless I had a reason to read a specific one of them. and this had Benedict Arnold, so I was destined to read it, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. Also the fact that it's an adult book, and I really don't ever read adult books. Like, I'm pretty sure this is the first, like, normal adult book that I've, like, ever read. So, that's very funny to me. Because of the fact that this book is like an adult suspense, governmental conspiracy thriller book, I can't really explain the plot of it too much, because that would ruin the fun of the book. And I also don't remember what, like, the actual synopsis is, but basically, it vaguely has to do with Benedict Arnold. Like, it has to do just enough with Benedict Arnold that I'm interested in it, but not too much that it's a book actually about Benedict Arnold. It's actually about a person named Hazel Nash, and I think she's the kind of character that a bunch of people would be, like, not sympathetic towards and not like her as a main character, but I actually really enjoyed her character. Like, she's not, like, the nicest person, and she's kind of just, like, standoffish to people, and she just has her own personality to herself. Like, she's just kind of like, I am who I am, and I'm not going to change that for somebody else, or to, like, fit in or whatever. And so I just think she's pretty cool, because most characters that I read are kind of like the main character, and they're like, I want everyone to like me. And that's a personality trait they have, where they're, like, trying to get most people they meet to like them. But she's not, Hazel Nash is not trying to get people to like her. She's just trying to complete the task at hand, and the task at hand is a lot. So, I enjoyed the book. I don't think I'm going to now say that this is a genre I will continue to read a bunch of books in, because I only read this book because it had to do with Benedict Arnold, but I will definitely be rereading this book because I enjoy the characters, and that's so weird to me, because there are a bunch of, like, vaguely unlikable characters, but, like, they're very well done. But I also don't know if I'm just saying this and it's because I don't read any other books in this genre, and that if other people who read books in this genre would be like, yeah, no, this book sucks, let's just not listen to them, and just say that me, personally, liked this book as a newbie in the genre, and I would recommend it to people who don't read books in the genre, because I think it stayed pretty suspenseful, and I think the setup wasn't, like, a bad setup, and I think the conclusion, while, like, vaguely disappointing, you could say, wasn't actually disappointing, and I would like to say that I enjoyed it. So, it's very hard to talk about this book without just spoiling, like, the final parts of the book, because that's the part that makes the book, because it answers your questions, but I enjoyed this book, and the characters in it are unlikable, but I liked them anyway, and I feel like if I were a cooler person, I'd be Hazel Nash, but I'm not cool, so I'm not Hazel Nash. As a Slytherin myself, I really do enjoy a good dark Slytherin book, and this one also has superpowers. So that's like a bonus. That not only is it like filled only with Slytherins basically, but it also has superpowers. And honestly, what more could I want? I have never read a V.E. Schwab book before, so Vicious was my first time reading a book of hers, but I really enjoyed it a lot. I really enjoyed the writing style. I really liked the characters because, like I said, it's just a bunch of Slytherins, and I love Slytherins. And it also, I really enjoyed how small of a cast it had, because a lot of the time, books have a lot of characters in them, but this one was like, how would you like 5 characters? That's it. And I appreciated that. As someone who writes small cast books, reading a small cast book, I feel validated that you don't need like 20 different people who are all important to make a book. You can have like 5. And it was a short and long book at the same time. So I don't really know how I would say its pacing is for someone who's like, I want super fast-paced books. It's more like, we're gonna just explore this and just take our time getting to the end. And you'll be like waiting for stuff to happen. And stuff will happen, but like, this book is a waiting game, but it's a worthwhile waiting game. And I really enjoy the dynamic between Eli and Victor. I think them both being basically villains is really cool, and in a past life, I would have become them probably, because my latent Scorpio Slytherininness is ready to go whenever needed, but current me is going to not let that happen, because things would end badly. But TLDR, should have read this book a lot sooner. Only read it this year, but I really, 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 really liked it. And I will now recommend it to anybody who's looking for a good Slytherin relationship book. Because the dynamic between all of the characters is very, very good. It's the kind of book you want to read if you find morally gray villain characters fascinating, which is a problem I have. So, obviously I fell in love with this book. Basically, if you're like me and JD is a cool character to you, can I introduce you to Eli Ever and Victor Vale? I have never played a Fire Emblem game until 2020, but I am so glad that I picked this one up because oh my goodness, I love all the characters and the arcs are so good, the character design is so good. Like, some characters are like simply designed, but I love their design anyway. It's such a good game. I love just wandering around Monastery, getting everyone their lost items, even though I have better things I should be doing with my time, but I'm like, no. Everyone has to get their lost items. I'm not moving on until everyone has been returned their lost items. This is why my first playthrough of this game took me like 80 hours. On my first playthrough of this game, I named myself Emily, E-M-L-Y, which is something I've now started naming a ton of other characters if I have to name myself in a game, because I think it's hilarious. And I joined the Golden Deer House because Claude met me and was like, wow, I'm a mystery, you're a mystery, let's get to know each other slowly over the course of a year. And I was like, sign me up for slow burn relationships. And then I slowly romanced him, and then I married him, and he's my best friend, and I am so happy with the choice that I made. And I also think I have a problem, because now I'm in my second playthrough, currently, and I'm trying to romance Yuri, and I realized they're basically the same character. They have their little shoulder cape thing, they're kind of trickstery people, and they call you friend. I have a problem, and I need help. No joke though, Claude is legitimately like my best friend, and I love him incredibly much. He means a lot to me for a fictional character. But yes, Claude. Edelgard and Dimitri are okay too, but Claude is so good. He's so good. I have a problem. My other favorite characters are Geralt, Yuri, the Gatekeeper, Sedith, Ash, and Hilda. Gatekeeper forever. I'm a gigantic fan of the Gatekeeper. If you could romance him, I would potentially romance him over Claude, because he needs to be protected at all costs. Hashtag protect the Gatekeeper, and make him romanceable. Create DLC where you can romance the Gatekeeper. I would buy it for like $20 if that's what it cost to romance the Gatekeeper, because he needs to be happy in his life. The story of this game surprisingly made me incredibly emotional multiple times, and certain parts of this game make me physically emotional, and it hurts a lot. There's a certain part that, like, literally gave me, like, a stomachache of emotions. Because... because reasons. If you've played the game, you might be able to guess what the most emotionally intense part I had happening to me during Claude's route. Doesn't have to do with Claude, though. But yes, I love this game a lot, and I love Claude a lot. And I'm going to play all the other routes now, because I need every single bit of information about this game. Because I have found a new obsession, and it's an obsession that will take me like 400 hours to complete. But it's fine. It's completely fine. It's not fine. Before this year started, I'd only played Breath of the Wild for probably like 2 or 3 hours. And then I decided to make my April Fool's Day video where I played Breath of the Wild with Link being butt naked as possible. And now I've like completed the map. I've beaten like 2 of the Divine Beasts. I've been so many places. I'm super invested in traveling around Hyrule. I found like none of the the actual plot things, but other than the fact that I basically know nothing about the actual plot of this game, even though I've done so much in the world now, I'm a huge fan. I love Breath of the Wild, I love Legend of Zelda, and I really should have actually played the game sooner, but I stopped because people were making fun of me for playing it with Link not wearing clothes. So now he does wear clothes, but I'm very close to probably making Link go feral again and take his clothes off and just run around Hyrule with just shorts on. But currently I'm playing other games. But when I get back to Breath of the Wild, I'm very likely just going to go on a naked adventure. Don't take that out of context. My favorite thing to do, though, out of everything you can do in this game, is dyeing every single piece of clothing I own pink and going on all my fun side quests and ignoring the actual objectives of the game. Because we gotta help all the poor people of Hyrule who can't do things for themselves. And also look good while doing it, because Link looks good in the color pink. I haven't finished Pokemon Sun because my brother's 3DS broke before I could finish it, but I was like basically at the end of the game, so I basically finished it, but of what I played of it, I really had a fun time. I named my character Emily, and I talked the whole time about how I'm like 11 and really shouldn't be doing this, and I'm just in awkward situations as an 11-year-old, just out there Pokemoning. And I created the perfect team, which I will now tell you all about my perfect team, because they need to be appreciated. And I love every single one of them. Minus the ones I had to put in my box, but you know, we hardly used them. So it's fine. They will be dearly missed. Even though I could get them at any time, they're not going to join my team because I've created the perfect team, which is as follows. We have Boar, Lore, Blubber Sonia, Come On Bob, Meef, and Firebringer. My favorite characters in this game are Guzma and Professor Kukui. I love it whenever they interact. So much. It's so much fun when they interact. And also, Hao is definitely the best rival. He's a fun friend to have. And I enjoyed interacting with him because he's a lot of fun to be around. Because most of the other rivals are like, nah, it's you. But he's like, we're on an adventure together. And I'm like, cool. I'll fight you. I'll humor you. I feel bad about beating up his Pokemon, as opposed to other rivals where I'm like, yeah, no, I'm gonna crush you and your Pokemon to dust. So, Hal's pretty awesome. And also, whatever his name is, the moody dude, he's cool too. But Hao and Professor Kukui and Guzma are above him in coolness, in appreciation of me, by me. TLDR, really enjoyed my time playing a more modern Pokemon game. I have a perfect team, and I'm 11. So, back off. This is also another game that I didn't finish because my brother's 3DS broke, but I was so close to finishing this too, and then I bothered to try and actually level up my team so that I could actually finish the game, and then I never did that in time to finish the game before his 3DS broke. But I had a ton of fun playing this game because it's cute and hilarious and it's not a hard game to play at all. You basically hardly play it, and yet somehow I didn't beat it when I was actually trying to play it. But anyway, my team is a combination of my siblings and me, and a few of my friends, and then from Tomodachi Life, a few of my children in Tomodachi Life are on my team. And just all together, having all those characters interact with each other when they're doing battles is the funniest thing. My favorite thing is the thing where two characters will be friends with each other, and then one of them will get hurt, and then the other one will rush over to them and be like, "Are you okay?" And then the character who got hurt will look up to them with big eyes and be like, "Oh," and then say their name, and I'm just like, this is my favorite thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm so happy that all these characters are people who I know, because it makes it funnier when my siblings are like, "Oh no," or my friends are like, "Oh no, you're hurt," and then they're having interactions. I just had a very heartwarming and positive time with this game. I think it's hilarious. And it's a relatively old game in terms of games. I mean, it came out on the 3DS a while ago, but I think it's pretty funny and worth playing, and I really would like them to come out with a Miitopia 2. I would also like them to come out with a Tomodachi Life 2, but that's another story. I'm sure this game is on literally everybody's favorite of 2020 list, but I really, really enjoyed it, and I spent some time this year, needing to sit down and play this game, so having it to actually play was very calming for me. I have some great villager friends in this game. My best friends in this game are Jay and Ozzy and Chevra, and if they ever leave, I will genuinely probably cry a bit, because emotionally I need access to friends, even if they're digital fake friends. I need my animal buddies on my island, and I need them to never leave me, because I've now become emotionally dependent on a goat and a bird and a koala. Is that what Ozzy is? A koala. So yes, I have problems. 2020 made me lose my mind, but at least I have fake people to make my life a little bit better. And in 2021, I will continue with my weird ways and fall in love with even more fictional characters. Everything's fine, I swear, even though I just told you it wasn't. Ignore me. My quite hilarious nicknames given to me by my villagers in this game are Somersault, Tater Tot, Pickles, and Burrito. And most recently, a character asked me if they could name me something, and I said no, but then they're like, "So what do you want to be named?" So I'm also named Umley, which is spelled E-U-M-L-E-H. Don't ask me why, but that's also a nickname. But the other nicknames actually given to me by my villagers are Perfect, especially when Ozzy keeps recommending that I have a new nickname that has to do with food, because he nicknamed me both Burrito and Tater Tot. And I don't know if that's something I should be worried about, if Ozzy wants to eat me because he thinks I'm snack food. I should probably be worried. Currently, 2 of the 6 rooms in my house are filled with forged art, because in my city folk house, my main room was a forged art room, because I love going to Red and buying art, even if it's forged. And so as an homage to that, I am now making part of my house a museum for the art that I can't put in the actual museum, because it's fake. But don't tell anybody that, because I want them to visit my museum, which has way more art than our museum probably ever will have, because Red can't bother to sell us actually real art ever when he finally actually shows up on our island. Like I was saying before, Animal Crossing got me through this year. Every single special event that was supposed to happen would be something I would look forward to. The seasons changing. The day that the snow started falling, I audibly gasped, because I was waiting so long for snow in Animal Crossing, because that's one of my favorite times in Animal Crossing, when there's snow everywhere. And it finally happened, and I literally was like going crazy. No one was around to hear me, luckily, but I was gasping at how happy I was that there was snow on the ground, and there was snowballs to roll up, and there was trees with lights on them. I can't wait for all the events that we haven't had yet, because Festivale hasn't happened yet, and I need to meet Pave. Hopefully it's a fun event, but Animal Crossing New Horizons was a game I needed, I appreciate it, and I will be playing it a lot more in the coming year, because it is now a high-key comfort game of mine. When I have nothing else to play, or when I'm really stressed out, I know that playing this game, even for just like 20 minutes, will definitely calm me down. So, recommendation: if you need a comfort game and you have a Switch, go buy Animal Crossing New Horizons, because it has cute animals, fun, happy music, and it's snowing right now if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, so you get to enjoy that. Glowing endorsement. And those were all my favorite things from the past year. I really would like to know what your favorite things from the past year were, so please put them in the comments below. And I do have something I have to say before I close out this video, and that is that going forward, I'm thinking I'm going to be doing favorites videos a little differently. So instead of doing yearly favorites videos, I'm going to start doing quarterly favorites videos. But what that means for the favorites videos you just watched is that I didn't include December favorites in my 2020 favorites videos, even though it technically counts as a 2020 favorite. It's now, because of the new way I'm making videos for favorites videos, it technically counts as a winter favorites video. So there's some things that would have been in these videos that aren't, that you will see in my video that I'll be putting out at the end of February. And going forward, at the end of each season, I will be making another favorites video so that I can actually get things when they're actually favorites and put them on like these videos, because there's a few things that aren't in these videos from the past year that were technically favorites, but by the time I was writing up the script for this, I was like, I don't remember why I liked this. I know I liked it, but I can't actually like form sentences to say why I enjoyed them. So hopefully this will actually allow me to not only talk about more things, but talk about things when they're actually relevant to being my favorites. So the next one is at the end of February, which is very soon, but it'll include a bunch of stuff that is currently my favorite right now, but I can't talk about, because I stopped writing down favorites for 2020 back in November. And I just hope that you actually stick around if you like my favorites videos, because they're a mess, but I really like talking about the things that I like, and hoping that people will enjoy them as much as I do, or find like that the thing exists and then find it and enjoy it as much as I do. It's very late because my phone almost died and stopped recording, so I had to fix that. So I'm going to go to bed, but I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and next week you will see me making a completely different video. But I hope you come back and watch it. I'm definitely gonna go now. Bye!